This strange and still unsolved case took place on that evening. A young woman named Mary Shotwell Little vanished without a trace. Later, she moved to Atlanta. Mary was young, beautiful, and full of life. Her husband was Roy Little, a bank auditor. On the day Mary vanished, Mary was even planning a small celebration to welcome him home. Mary bought groceries and later met a co-worker for dinner at Piccadilly cafeteria. According to her colleague, around p.m., the two women said goodbye, which was parked in the shopping center parking lot. The next morning, Mary did not show up for work and did not call in, raised concern because she had always. The bank manager contacted the shopping to check whether her car was still. At first, security couldn't locate it. Mary's car there, but inside the vehicle, police discovered a very disturbing scene and a pack of Kent cigarettes, Mary's preferred brand, on the center console. Mary's underwear was neatly folded asleep. On the floor were her bra and a cut stocking. Inside the car, the seat, the door, and the window, the amount was very small, about the same as from a minor cut or a nosebleed. There was also an unidentified bloody fingerprint on the steering wheel. Soon another strange detail came to light. This might explain why. Vehicle. Investigators theorized that from the parking lot overnight, the day after Mary disappeared. The first was in her hometown of Charlotte, and the second in Raleigh. October 14, 1965, in Atlanta, Georgia. Mary was born in 1940 in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she worked as a secretary at Citizens and Southern Bank. She dreamed of a happy future and had recently gotten married. At the time of her disappearance, it had been only 6 weeks since their wedding. Roy was out of town attending training and was scheduled to return the next day. After work on October 14th, located in the Lenox Square shopping center in the Buckhead area, Mary was in great spirits and happily talked about her new married life. Her co-worker drove home, and Mary walked toward her car. She was never seen again. This immediately being a very responsible employee, sent her and asked security in the parking lot. However, later, the bank manager personally went to the parking lot and found it was a Mercury Comet, pearl gray in color. There were bags of groceries, bottles of Coca-Cola, but next to them, investigators found something even stranger: panties and a girdle. Her other clothes, purse, jewelry, and car keys were missing. Investigators also discovered traces of blood on the steering wheel. Tests later suggested that the blood likely belonged to Mary. However, some investigators began to suspect that the scene might have been staged, which was never matched to anyone. The license plate on Mary's car had been stolen from North Carolina. Security initially failed to locate the car. Could have been taken and then returned later. Her credit card was used at two gas stations in North Carolina. The first was in her hometown of Charlotte, and the second in Raleigh. Employees at the gas stations said they saw a woman who looked like Mary. According to them, she had a head injury, and her clothes were stained with blood. Standing beside her were one or two unshaven middle-aged men, who seemed to be controlling her movements. The woman avoided eye contact and appeared to be trying to hide her face. She never asked for help. The receipt signatures read Mrs. Roy H. Little Jr., and investigators said the handwriting resembled Mary's. However, there was something odd. Nearly 12 hours passed between the two gas station visits, even though the distance between the cities was only a few hours of driving. Later, an unknown man demanded a ransom of $20,000 for Mary's release. He called Roy and instructed him to go to a bridge in Pisgah National Forest, where further instructions would be waiting. But when a Federal Bureau of Investigation agent arrived, he found only a blank sheet of paper. After that, the caller never contacted the family again. Investigators also looked closely at Mary's husband. Some of her friends did not trust him, and Roy refused to take a polygraph test several times. However, he had a solid alibi. He was in another city during the disappearance. Because of that, no charges were ever filed against him. During the investigation, detectives discovered another disturbing detail. In the weeks before her disappearance, Mary had been receiving strange phone calls at work. On one occasion, she told the caller, "I'm a married woman now." Mary had also been receiving bouquets of flowers from a secret admirer, but she never told her husband about it. Some friends later recalled that in the weeks before she vanished, Mary was afraid to stay home alone and afraid to drive by herself. She never explained why. Shortly before she disappeared, she hinted to co-workers that she had something important to tell them, but she never got the chance. 18 months later, in 1967, another tragedy occurred. A young woman named Diane Shields, who worked in the same office, was found dead in the trunk of her car. At first, police suspected the two cases might be connected. However, no evidence was ever found to prove it, and the most mysterious details surfaced years later. The entire police case file about Mary disappeared from the archives. Today, decades later, the disappearance of Mary Shotwell Little remains unsolved. Some investigators believe she may have staged her own disappearance. Others are convinced she was kidnapped more than half a century later.